Welcome to a sports betting podcast from pregame.com for the week of January 22nd, 2010. I'm your host, RJ Bell. I'm joined by Marco D'Angelo, 30 years in the business and an amazing new hat that you have to be watching on video to fully appreciate clearly. And we have Vegas Runner, genuine professional bettor here in Vegas, star of the CNBC special on illegal gambling.
And not wearing a hat today.
Not wearing a hat today for those listening on iTunes and the podcast. Okay, this is segment 1 of 5. Interesting format this week. We're going to be talking 2 segments on each of the championship games. And then we're going to be having a segment on a really big basketball game on Saturday, UConn and Texas.
Yes, sir.
All right, so first up in this Jets game, give us the line, Vegas Runner.
All right, this one opened up Indy as a 7-point home favorite with a total 41. It's since gone to Indy minus 7.5, so it's come off that key number, and the total's dropped to 39.5.
Okay, so you actually have your free pick on this game.
Yes, I do.
And I actually do too. So we're going to focus on your free pick in segment 1, and then in the next segment we'll focus on my free pick. And then Marco, you've got a free pick on the NFC game.
Yes, sir.
All right, so give us your pick.
I really like the over in this game, and I think we've gained a lot of value by it coming off a key number like 41 and now dipped down to 39.5. Besides the stats and the matchup for this game, historically in conference championship games, when they've had an extremely high total of 46 or higher, 14 of 18 games have flew over the total. When they've had an extremely low total of 40 or lower, we got 20 out of 28 games flew over the total. So whenever they've been expecting a defensive battle, it's gone over more times than not. And when you look at how this...
So you're saying when there's a high total, it's gone over.
And when it's an extremely low total, it's gone over.
Now, would you call 39... Now, again, the stat is the stat. So the fact that it's under 40, that's a great stat. But generally, 39.5 is not an extremely low total. In fact, I would say the average in the NFL is 40, 41.
Yeah, right around there. Around there.
So what you're saying, though, statistically is... Unless it's right in that middle category, above 40 and below 46,
right.
It's been going over.
Exactly.
Okay.
And I think these two teams fall into that category where we're going to see some points scored because they've played each other already. And what we saw the first time when they played each other is neither team, the Colts were unable to run the ball like they haven't been able to do all year.
Are you looking at just the first half
for the game
that matchup?
For the game.
The fact that the Colts put in, and that's something that's important to realize when you look at this box score, and it's been talked about so much.
Yeah.
It's not as if many people are going to be uninformed, but the Colts didn't play their starters that entire game. So I'm assuming you're considering that when you consider
exactly,
what you
and that's why there was 44 points scored. But again, like you said, they didn't play the second half. None of the Colts starters. And they were up at the half. The Colts were up 9-3 at the half. So the offenses didn't get going. But I think this game's going to be totally different. What the Colts saw the Jets do to Indianapolis and what the Colts saw the Jets do to Cincinnati, Colts are going to have to try to come out and get ahead of this team. They're not going to want to be in a dogfight with the Jets because this is a team that if you let them hang around, they're going to stick to their game plan. So far, no one's been able to get the Jets to come off their game plan. Even though San Diego made them punt every possession of the first half, they only had a 7-point lead on them at going into the half. So they never had to abandon their game plan. Mm-hmm. I think the Colts are going to have to come out and attack them and try to put up points on the board.
That's a good point. So
and
you're
see
saying,
how are they going to react when they're out of their comfort level.
So you're saying, and then we're going to go to Marco here, you're saying the goal of the Colts is going to be to make Sanchez throw, and the way you're going to do that is come out and get up by 14.
Exactly.
Which means not necessarily they are going to do that, because if you could just say that, you'd say it every game.
Right.
But they're going to be, they don't want to be conservative. You're saying the Colts have a real reason not to be conservative.
Exactly. That was my reasoning for this going in 100%. The numbers are just a bonus, but I think just how the game should play out.
On the total side, Marco, because we are going to have, I'm going to be playing actually on the side. What, as a handicapper, jumps out at you?
Well, what jumps out to me is the early move that it came down, and I'm going to, question VR. He's, the line expert. the fact that they bet the under early, that does not concern you? I mean, this is not a weather situation. They're playing at Indy.
So what we're saying, though, is, not to interrupt, but quickly, is that early moves are going to be true steam, as Vegas Runner calls it, unless they're setting up for a buyback later. Clearly, the public with Peyton Manning is going to be inclined to bet over, so this is a true move, and you're bucking the wise guys here.
Absolutely.
All right.
That was my question. As far as the game goes, first off, I say this is ironic as hell, and I actually put a thread up in the forums at pregame.forums, pregame.com/forums, about how
All right? You need a glass of water?
No, we're okay. That's a tongue twister.
That hat
there.
might be constricting your head a
Oh,
little bit.
geez, here we go. But how ironic is it? How ironic is it that here we are for the AFC Championship game, that the Jets are playing the Colts, and really it's the Colts that started the letting the Jets into the playoffs by pulling the starters. I mean,
all right, so what we try to do is zero in on issues that matter to the bettor, not stuff that you want to talk about at lunch. So what effect does that have for the bettor?
See, to me it does, because
that's what I'm asking.
What you're looking at is, when you handicap this game, you got to handicap this two ways. You got to look at what the line is today and take what really happened in that game and what you're going to take away from it. Yeah, the Colts pulled their starters, but in the first half, they weren't blowing out the Jets.
All right. So
it was a 15-10 game at
So there's
halftime.
two issues here. One, I think I agree with 100%, which is when you break down what happened in the first game, make sure you draw a thick red line before and after the starters came in and then left the game. Agreed. I think we all agree with that. And for those out there, that's just clear advice. You don't want to look at that fourth quarter the same as the first quarter. Now, my question is, psychologically on both sides, but maybe more towards the Colts, the fact that they have let this team in, does it put a little extra pressure on them? Is it something that, I don't know. I don't know what the psychology is, but the very fact that you're discussing it says it's in people's minds. Is there a psychological edge?
Well, I think there is an edge here somewhere, and if you look at the line, and I do my thing where I read the line, look at what I see, and what stands out to me in this game is the fact that Vegas opened this game up at 7. And I'm looking at it from two standpoints. Last week, the Jets were getting 7 opening number from San Diego. Indianapolis is supposed to be a better team than San Diego. They're the number 1 seed. Second, Indianapolis is only laying a half a point more this week to Baltimore than they were last week to Baltimore. Now,
hold on. Baltimore, that game closed at 6.
But the line was 6.5 when it opened. Okay. I'm looking at like where they started both games.
Okay.
So my thought is, if you forget, everything that's transpired, Baltimore and the Jets, what do you put them on a neutral field?
And we're forgetting about the fact that this. I mean,
let's take it from last week. Go ahead and take last week's games, even with what you saw.
I'd say 3 or 2.5 for Baltimore.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think lower than that, to tell you the
truth. But you make Baltimore a favorite over the Jets on a neutral.
Yeah,
Vegas is only saying there's a half a point difference. And what would you do with?
But it's not last week. The Jets have now gone into the Charger. I mean, where's this line?
And being a team that won all them games in a row and just manhandled them.
All right, we got 60 seconds left in this segment. My question is this: where's the line supposed to be?
Well, I think the line's a little bit low.
So you're saying this line should open at 9?
I think the line should have come out at least over the touchdown. It got bet to over the touchdown, but I think Vegas should have brought it out.
So you think the line came out
7.5.
low, which means you think they won Indy action, which means you like the Jets, or at least you think they might be trapping you into Indy.
Right now, that's my initial read on that.
I'm going to explain why when we come back.
Yeah, we're going to be back for the second segment. And remember, you can get all of our videos at pregame.tv. We're doing something new. Predict the score of this game in the comments section. If you get it exactly right, we'll give you $50 pregame dollars to spend any way you want. And if you're on iTunes, you can download and listen. Just search for pregame.com.